Hello. Why you got to start me small? StreamYard, why? What's up, people? How you doing? Greetings and salutations. Sandy is out of YouTube jail. Nice. Way to go. Congratulations, Sandy. I mean, usually if you wait them out, you appeal and you wait them out. That's what happened to me with the Facebook thing. Problem is, if you get kicked off a platform, you might get used to just being not on a platform anymore. So, I don't know. There's that too. All right. We are here. We are all here. The gang's all here. And let's see. X is back to its old stompy ways. All right. X is back to its old stompy ways. They're doing this. They're doing the thing with me where they've realized I have over 700 followers, so they're like, deploy the algorithm to unfollow Black Bear News until he gets under 700 again. It's painful, very painful. Oh, nice. Okay. Nice. Nicely done. Well, that's great. It's good to have friends who are willing to go to Google headquarters and file a complaint. That's awesome. Oh, what's happening? My God. Oh, my God. All the stuff, the usual stuff. Hold on. Let me see if I'm getting the right. So apparently there were a bunch of lightning strikes in Central California. Where is it? Oh, here it is. It's apparently started a fire. And my apologies for misnaming the city in my thumbnail. 2.5 thousand subscribers. Yeah, no, I'm talking about on YouTube. Well, YouTube, I have that many. And it's been that way for let's see, 5 years. They won't let me go above. They will not let me get to 3,000. They won't ever let me get to 3,000. I will never get to 3,000 followers. They just, because I was gaining followers, like crazy. My videos were getting a ton of views, and they were like, "Nope, this guy's not getting any more followers, and we're going to make sure his views go down to like 100 a day," which is what they are now, and when they used to be several thousand a day. And what they want to do is make me feel like it's my fault or I'm doing something wrong. I am not. I'm doing me. I've been doing me. It's the same me. Been doing me. But I don't know. There's not much I can do about it besides try maybe start another channel, or maybe I don't know. Or they're trying to get me to quit is what they're trying to do, is to demoralize me. But y'all are here making sure I don't quit. Thank you. California has been bombarded by 10,000 lightning strikes today, sparking dozens of new wildfires. It's about to get really smoky. And just right on cue, much of Chinese camp. It's not Chinese camp, not China camp, which is my bad. A historic gold rush town in California, one of the oldest in the state, has been burned to the ground tonight by the 6.5 wildfire, a sobering night across the Sierra foothills. Many dangerous wildfires sparked by today's dry lightning outbreak, which again is a consequence of climate change. If you are playing at home, you're following on your bingo card at home. Climate change, Earth's energy imbalance, it's whatever you want to call it, et cetera, et cetera. We are way out of balance with the planet. We are not in harmony with the planet. Firefighters are battling a fast-moving wildfire in Central California that's already burned through thousands of acres and damaged and destroyed multiple buildings in a historic gold rush town after igniting in a lightning storm on Tuesday. Fire tore through the equivalent of 8 football fields every minute on average its first 10 hours on Tuesday. There were no reports of injuries or death. As of Wednesday, multiple structures have been damaged and destroyed. The area of the 6.5 fire is burning through has an important place in U.S. history. The California gold rush brought thousands of Chinese miners to the United States, where they faced anti-immigrant sentiments and persecution. Chinese miners settled in the town in 1849 after being driven out of another nearby mining camp, according to Visit Tulum County. Originally called Camp Washington, it was soon renamed Chinese Camp. There's 2 hurricanes in the Pacific. Well, holy free holies. Hold on one second. Pacific hurricanes have been doing a lot of damage lately. It used to be that Pacific hurricanes were not very usually didn't do a lot of damage, usually stayed out in the ocean, usually didn't really like threaten landfall too often. But lately they have been just racking up some serious coin. Hurricane Lorena is on track, it looks like, to hit Mexico, maybe Saturday. And we'll see if she gets any stronger. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see it. Sorry. Is there another one? This is from today. I'm not seeing another one. Is there another one in the area? Maybe I'm missing it. Hurricane Kilo. Okay. Kiko. Sorry. Okay, let's see. Let's look at that one then. This is from yesterday. And here is, yeah, Kiko looks like it's heading towards Hawaii, although it's still not going to make it there as of Sunday. So the track is not super defined yet, and it's got a ways to go. We'll keep an eye on it. $12E. People got stuck in the mud at Burning Man again. Yeah, I know. I know. It looks like the Hardy stuck it out in Burning Man and did what they had to do, but it does look like it was. I have I follow a bunch of people that go to Burning Man on the Instagram. One of my friends is a DJ, goes to Burning Man every year, and he said the wait to get in was 36 hours. Yeah, you can miss me with that one. I mean, it's really important for him to go. That's cool. You can miss me with that. They had a windstorm, then they had a rainstorm, some mud, a bunch of mud. But people survived it and kept going. I have some friends that go. I have several friends that go every year. It's just not my bag for one. People keep suggesting that I go. I don't know. Maybe. It might be cool. Maybe. Let's keep going. There's a Epstein files press conference today. The Epstein files are still going. Climate change activists warned. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on one second, y'all. Sorry about that. Let's see. Well, I mean, if you're, climate change activists could warn people in general about the fact that wherever they live is probably under threat in some way or another. Okay, where are we going? Where are we going? There was a conference of Epstein survivors, and this in Washington D.C. They are gaining or still gaining attention. The Trump administration, it's unwanted attention for sure for the Trump administration. Yeah, I don't get Phoenix at all. I don't get Phoenix at all. Don't really, honestly, don't get Texas. I think you made the right move, Poppy. I know people like to move to Texas, but I would not move to Texas myself. But the Epstein lobby. That's funny. Lauren Boebert just signed the discharge petition demanding the release of the Epstein files with Massey, Mace, Boebert, and MTG on board, all 212 Dems signing on as expected. As expected, I don't know. Is that expected? We need only 2 more Republicans to force a floor vote. So they're trying to force a floor vote to release the Epstein files. They have this petition, I think, started by Massey. And there's a little bit of panic, I think, from the Trump administration.
I don't care what names are on it. I want to see what names are on it. And I think if anything anybody wants to see is the list. We want to see the list, period. I don't care what names are on it. I want to see what names are on it and why.
Okay. Sorry, this is going to be a bit of a segment here. This is Yasmin Ansari, Democrat from the Oversight.
There is so much to this story that nobody knows. There are decades worth of stories and information and a cover-up of this capacity to have allowed for the abuse of over 1,000 women over the course of decades, and then stories that demonstrate that Epstein and others were able to perpetuate the abuse beyond, even after the public knew. We know there's a lot more to this. And I think that this is the most corrupt administration in American history, and this story shows it more than anything. So we will keep fighting in honor of the survivors who are brave enough to put themselves out there for truth and justice, and we will not back down until there is full accountability and prevention from this ever happening again.
Personally, I'm happy that so much attention is being paid to this, because you wouldn't get this from Democrats if you were talking about the Clintons or somebody like that. So Trump is a good foil to screw up people's minds when it comes to like partisan politics. He's a great foil. But this is something that has got its own wheels, and I don't know if they're going to stop this. Unless Trump dies and Vance takes over, and then everybody goes, "Oh well." Anyways, just kidding. What's this? Bella says, I asked who did 9/11 at George Galloway. Many people answered correctly and weren't censored. All right. Well, that's good. I mean, I think, as far as stuff like that goes, I think, the hive mind has pretty much figured it out. I think not a lot of people believe the official story. Now, there's a lot of people who don't want to talk about it, but I think for the most part, I think there's a good group of people who don't believe the story and probably believe that we had something to do with it. But even that, just that assertion, or that, landing on that truth, the implications of that, I don't know how people are okay with that. I honestly don't know how people are okay with that. Bullet says the powers that be ain't never going to let that client list see the sunshine. Yes, true. It's still being taught wrongly in history class. I'm sure it is. Let's listen to this. This is Ro Khanna. Huge crowd has developed outside the Capitol in support of Epstein survivors, and the demand the Epstein files receives a full vote in Congress. We're going to go through. There's just a bunch of videos on this. I mean, if it's going to galvanize people to get their butts out of off the couch and go do something, it's something. It's something. Yeah, I don't trust Ro Khanna for a second. I don't trust this lady, Representative Luna. I do not trust this lady at all.
Right now, the biggest.
So I'm gonna just say, yeah, this is great that it's getting so much attention. I don't Massey, Luna, and Ro Khanna, and all these people. Like, I think they're distractors in all of this. And they're being put out there to make it seem like, well, somebody in Congress is doing something about something. In the end of the day, they're going to fold or waffle. They're going to waffle like a shitty waffle from Waffle House. Yes, Denver, I agree with you. All these people have a taint. That's right. And you know what a taint is.
The thing that stands out to me is the victims themselves have stated that this is a lot bigger than I think anyone anticipated. We are obviously going to be requesting the SARS reports from Treasury, and also following up on that. There's some very rich and powerful people that need to go to jail. I think everyone's been frustrated as to why that hasn't happened before.
So, I mean, I don't trust her, but the words she's saying out of her mouth, very powerful people need to go to jail. I mean, you guys.
But it is very much so a possibility that Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset working for our adversaries. But also, too, I think the questions that we have is how much did our own government know about it? And so there's more to follow, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from the chairman momentarily. But I do applaud the victims from coming forward, because we heard from a woman who was as young as 14 years old when she was victimized multiple times by Jeffrey Epstein. So that's hard to hear.
Did you sign the discharge petition, the massive discharge petition?
I think that the files will probably be released prior. I don't know why Comer hasn't. I think that he should do it, so it wouldn't even have to come to a vote. But I mean, obviously, I've been a huge advocate, even when I was the only one in Congress calling for the release of this file. So I think I'd be happy to, yes. Thank you.
What do they call for this makes a mistake on those files?
Okay. We're just going through some of the news around this because there's a lot today. The Trump White House is threatening GOP lawmakers, threatening their own camp. If they sign Massey's bill, it will be treated as a hostile act. That's not how innocent people act. That's how cover-ups get enforced. Confirmed. The White House told NBC News. Representative Massey, helping Representative Massey release the Epstein files would be seen as a very hostile act against the administration. That's not a denial. And it only serves, it really does only serve to make them look more complicit. They're handling this in the worst possible way. Right? All of the things that they're doing in the face of this make them look worse, make them look more guilty. Bullis says at this point we should see what they are trying to distract us from. Sure. Sure. You mean the plan for the Gaza plan? The new AI smart city? There's lots going on. The attempted takeover of Venezuela. That wouldn't surprise me in the least. If there was an actual military incursion into Venezuela, that would not take me by surprise at all. I do. Sorry. This is kind of the best one, though. We are compiling our own lists, Epstein survivors. Now, this is what needs to be done in every scenario. Like, we need to do our own, people need to compile their own Epstein list. And for the most part, that's what's happening. It's happening on the internet as much as people can possibly do that. Which is why they're trying to shut down the internet or greatly control it. Is because people are sharing too much information. Why are they trying to control TikTok? Because people are sharing too much information about Gaza. And the majority of the users on TikTok are anti-Israel, probably at this point. I'd say, on most social media, for the most part, people are not happy about what Israel is doing. So I don't know, the only way to control that is to try and control what can be said or whatever. But, again, at some point you destroy your own business model by doing that, which is why you have these kind of wavering algorithm experiences that some people are saying oh, well, X used to suppress me and now they're not suppressing me as much. YouTube used to suppress me and now they're not, right? Because they're understanding that there's a fine line between, if you shut down people's speech too much, you ruin your business model. You drive your customers away. You make people want to leave and go find other places. Right? You ruin the experience for people, and then people don't want to come back. And so what what do you do? What do you do? I mean, if every website starts, demanding your digital ID or your biometrics to get on the website, what do? Do you go on the website, or do you, like, at some point, you're not going to want to do it. Like, I don't want to do it. So I don't know. I don't know where that leaves me, but maybe it leaves me doing something completely different. And I bet plenty of people feel that way, right? So if you ruin your business model by deploying these tactics, well, you have to make a choice. I mean, corporate media, the thing is that corporate media has done that to itself, right? Corporate media is bleeding out, right? CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and all those corporate media outlets are losing money. Everybody knows it. They're losing money hand over fist, and they're having a hard time, having a reason to exist. Because people don't trust what they have to say anymore. And they shouldn't. Like, if you're, getting your news from corporate media, I don't know, you got to try a little harder to get some actual, versions of reality. But the thing is, if you lie and you lie and you lie and you lose your trust, the trust of the people, you ruin your business model. Nobody trusts you anymore. Nobody cares what you have to say anymore. Like, nobody's listening anymore. And then you're trying to prop yourself up with, like, the fake. Everything is fake, right? Everything you're propping yourself up, your numbers, your revenue, it's all fake. You can only sustain that for so long before it just folds in on itself. Right. Which is why everybody is now they're funding all these, right? Bulla, right? Right. Everybody's going to independent media, which is why they're trying to take over these social media sites. But again, if you lie and you cheat and you defraud people, you destroy your business model. Nobody wants to listen anymore. Nobody wants to come check you out. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Thumbs down. But I'm going to play this, and this is what that, I don't know, I went down a rabbit hole there, but this is the thing, is if you leave these sites and leave the banks and leave these platforms and go do something else, you destroy them as a business model, right? You make them less viable as a business model, which is what people have to do. People have to band together in other alternative places and take all the energy out of the places where everybody seems to congregate. Anyways, let's watch this.
Epstein survivors have just called out the entire U.S. government and are now taking matters into their own hands.
I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
That's right. Victims of Jeffrey Epstein said Tuesday they are now working together to compile a list of powerful figures connected to the disgraced financier after growing frustrated with the government's handling of the case. Quote, a lot of us survivors know we've been compiling lists of our own, and we have so many other survivors. Epstein accuser Lisa Phillips told NBC News in an interview, please come forward and we'll compile our own list and seek justice on our own. This, to me, is one of the most important tests of our government, of our time, because it draws a clear line in the sand to show who they ultimately care about. The rich and powerful, the predators, or do they care about protecting citizens of the United States?
You should know what the answer is by now. Oh my God, Chelsea Clinton is considering a run for Congress. Dear God, no. This is ill-advised. Honestly, that's ill-advised. I don't see how she actually stands a chance. Because if you're so full of hubris that you don't understand that the Clinton name is kind of tarnished these days. The Clinton name has more baggage than shine. I would say don't do it. This is funny.
Gavin Newsom, more like having a twosome. Me and the ballot box. Here are 10 reasons why Joe Biden should actually run in 2028. First, he'll be 85. That's a B. That's a solid B. That's a 3.0. I'm listening to Cat's Eye, giving myself a cat eye. Gonna give MAGA a black eye because I see you with my black eyes. Something needs to change. Booker, 2028. Mom Donnie, more like nah, honey. Nah. Right? Mimosas and clapbacks. 7 ways you could stick it to fascism and still make it out in time for brunch. Nothing will fundamentally change. And quite frankly, I like that. Change isn't always good, okay? Change can be bad. Y'all remember New Coke? Exactly. I think at a time like this where faith in the Democratic leadership is at an all-time low, I think it's pretty clear what we need to do. Hillary should run again. Like, I just think voters are stupid and they don't know what's fundamentally good for them. We don't need universal health care. We need another $5 billion to Israel. I know I hear some of y'all calling for ICE to be dismantled, but if you actually look at the game plan, they're going to give them pronoun pins because it's really hard to tell gender underneath all of that tactical gear. And she can arrest and detain people just as good as he can. We're Democrats, not Democants. That's why we Democran give another $5 billion to Israel.
That was ridiculous. Here's footage of the Trump administration destroying supposedly a Venezuelan drug boat with 11 Tren de Aragua narco terrorists aboard. Somebody said this is an admission of a war crime. Absolutely. You don't. If they're drug dealers, you don't just drop a bomb on them, but Max Blumenthal says the alleged strike on what looks like a common fishing boat will begin a series of criminal deceptions and false flags aimed at destabilizing Venezuela's government. Tren de Aragua was dismantled in 2019. It is gone. Trump's narco terror designation is cover for invasion and resource theft. Feel like everybody should know that by now. That this whole Maduro is a narco terrorist thing is just cover for a reason to go take Venezuela's oil, and I feel like it's pretty obvious, Trumpy. Mr. Trumpalicious. I think it's pretty obvious. I think everybody can see. We can see you. We see what you're doing. It's not, whatever. Let's see. What other frightening things are happening? ICE is gaining access to Paragon spyware, which will enable them to hack phones and read private messages. Oh my God. Come on, man. I don't want to do all this. Oh, sure. Go. Just go, dude. All right. Here we go. ICE to gain access to Paragon spyware after Biden order dropped. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is on track to gain access to spyware designed to hack phones and read private messages after the Trump administration reactivated an ICE contract for spyware from Paragon. They reactivated an ICE contract. Spyware is from Tel Aviv-based Paragon on Saturday. Whoa, really? Wow, how surprising is that? Had previously been blocked due to a stop order, according to procurement records posted on government website. The immigration agency signed a $2 million deal last September for the Paragon software, which has allegedly been used to target activists and journalists in Europe, but the contract was hit with a stop work order soon after. The development gives ICE a powerful new spying tool in its nationwide crackdown on undocumented immigrants. As it attempts to deliver on President Donald Trump's promise to carry out the largest mass deportation in U.S. history. Representatives for ICE did not immediately respond, but executive chairman of Paragon's U.S. division, John Fleming, told Bloomberg the company was deeply committed to following all U.S. laws and regulations, whatever those might be. That's good that you're interested in following them, because the government itself isn't following any laws or regulations, especially in regards to this. They're really not, living up to, they're not holding up any standards for anybody. Meta Platforms said in January it had identified Paragon's technology being used against activists and reporters in Europe. In Italy, 2 media organizations filed a criminal complaint with Roman prosecutors seeking an investigation into who was responsible for the hacking. Great. But you better, trust, believe, and understand that this stuff like this is already operational, already in operation. They're just, telling you of more. They're being more transparent about the fact that they have already deployed stuff like this. So, just assume this is already happening. That would be the smart way to function. All right. So that is happening. I did get some support. Somebody got me on Ko-Fi. Let's see if I can see who it is. Tor, thank you. Appreciate it, Tor. Hit me up on the old Ko-Fi, and that is great indeed. Very helpful. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on. CEO of McDonald's says that we're now living in a 2-tier economy. Again, admitting to the public. I mean, this is a strange admission by a very wealthy person, a CEO of McDonald's. We understand that the poor need something to eat too, so we're living in a world where some people have everything and a lot of people have nothing. And our business model actually requires that we sell things to people. Again, we sell people to things to people who have nothing. I don't understand if these big brains are getting the fact that, like, did I show this video a couple weeks ago or months ago about somebody who was saying, like, you know, there are only so many wealthy people in the world that you can sell luxury items to, right? Like you can't really run a business, you know, maybe some businesses can only cater to the elite, and some do. But I think that's a small percentage of businesses. And even those businesses who cater to the elite rely on other businesses catering to, like, the rest of the planet, right? The people that don't have any money. Right? Or the people that they're catering to, the elite, actually run several businesses, I'm sure, that require that they do business with the rest of the planet, right? So if you destroy your business model, if you destroy the ability for your customer base to actually engage in business with you, well, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. And I don't get how these, you know, brain rotten numbskulls don't understand. If you ruin your business model, like, then that actually hurts you too, right? Like if you give people less and charge them more for it, and that's a continual spiral till we get to the point where people are just like, nah, I'm good, can't do it anymore. I mean, if Blackstone buys all the houses and nobody can afford to live in a house, what's the point? You know, how much value does that property have? Right? If you can't rent any houses out or apartments out to people because nobody can afford it, how is that a viable business model? Like these people they're just not really that smart. They're just really not that bright. In the short term, sure, they can squeeze some more dollars out of people for a little while. But in the end, it screws everybody. So, like, yeah, the pendulum's going in the wrong direction right now, but eventually that pendulum is going to come back the other way, because it's just, you know, there's also, it's, what is it? You know, deflation, like inflation can only go for so long, right? If everything just gets so crazy expensive that nobody can afford it, then all of a sudden everything collapses, right? And that happens. Like the price of things starts collapsing because nobody's buying what you're selling. So then people are like, oh, well, we got to, you know, fire sale, get rid of inventory. You know, here, how about $1? You know, just to keep people coming in the doors. Remember in the Great Recession, which is actually, just call it a depression. It's okay. Nice marketing ploy there. Well, we called it the Great Recession because people might be too scared to call it a depression. I don't know if it was a depression or not, but remember the dollar menus that everybody started coming up with, that kind of, you know, at all the fast food places, because they were like, nobody has any money, we're all about to go under, we're trying, you know, we need to have a fire sale, we need to keep people coming in the doors. What are we going to do? I don't know, put stuff for $1 on the menu. It's exactly what this guy is talking about.
And part of what we also saw was that particularly with middle and lower income consumers, they're feeling under a lot of pressure right now. I think there's a lot of commentary about what's the state of the economy, how's it doing, and what we see is it's really kind of a two-tier economy. If you're upper income, earning over $100,000, things are good. Stock markets are near all-time highs. You're feeling, quite confident about things. You're seeing international travel. All those barometers of upper income consumers are doing quite well. What we see with middle and lower income consumers is actually a different story. It's that consumers under a lot of pressure. In our industry, traffic for lower income consumers is down double digits. And it's because people are either choosing to skip a meal. So we're seeing breakfast. People are actually skipping breakfast, or they're choosing to just eat at home. And so for our business, which has a significant group of consumers which are in that middle and lower income, we needed to step in with something like what we're doing here.
He's literally just saying out loud, like reiterating the fact that these companies are going down the tubes because people can't afford to eat out anymore. It's freaking expensive. It's freaking expensive. Like I don't like I need to keep it like to a dull roar and eating out, because every time you eat out, it's just like, oh my God. Who can afford that? It's ridiculous. But the thing that's going to happen is this inflation is going to go up and up and up and up to the point where people are being like, I'm out. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not scraping up the last of my change to get, to buy this, inflated 3 or 4 times over priced item. Not doing it. What's up, Anthony? How you doing? You're surviving on food stamps? Shit. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, or there's also that reflect the sun, sure. Boycotting crap food is a part of peace and justice. There's also that, like your ties to the war industry is also probably somewhere in there. But for the most part, I think it's probably people pulling their pockets out and there's nothing in there. And they're just like, not today. And when you have a system that is going in that direction, full tilt, everybody's just raising prices and prices are going up and up and up and up, and people's wages are going down and down and down. Eventually there's going to be a breaking point. And what that is not a business model. That's not a sustainable business model. It's just not. So I don't, of course, everybody looks like there's a mad dash to, steal all the money that everybody can, the people with wealth and power and position that, just line their bank accounts with whatever they can while everything collapses. You sure, again, I don't see how that's a business model, because if what you're lining your bank account with becomes worthless, then that's a stupid plan. That's just a stupid plan. And if hordes of hungry people are looking for justice, that is a stupid plan, man. You guys are just dumb as shit. You CEOs and you runners of the tech companies and the tech industries, and you guys are dumber than doorknobs. I was trying to mix a couple of metaphors together there. You guys are just stuck on stupid, because if you are running on greed and control and power, like You're gonna lose every time, man. You're gonna freaking lose every time. Jesus. You haven't figured, it's weird that people that haven't figured out that like living in a low vibrational state or doing things in a low vibrational way, it doesn't work out for you. It doesn't work out for you. You lose. You might win a little bit for a little while, but you lose every time. You lose and you lose your soul. How, wow, what a payoff. What a payoff. And you hurt people along the way. Does that feel good? How's that feel? Feels great. Just, but if you operate with people's, welfare and compassion in mind, right, and fairness and equity and right, like you actually create more wealth. You actually create a sustainable business model. You create a cycle in which people feel, some kind of trust and want to do business with you and are willing to, invest in you. And I just, it's so stupidly obvious. It's just so, and people, these ghouls just don't get it. Anyways. How about why condemning Hamas means supporting genocide? Let's listen to this little history lesson.
If you're critical of Israel, but you don't support the Palestinian resistance, you don't understand the history of this conflict. The only time that Israel has ever given land back to the Arabs was after they got whooped by the Egyptians in 1973. There was a time in history after the 1967 war where Israel was looking to control the Sinai Desert. But the Egyptians were able to launch a surprise attack in 1973 and really put a beating on the Israelis, causing more Israeli casualties than in any other conflict we've ever seen. And because of that, because of the military force of the Egyptians, Israel was forced to give back the Sinai in 1978 at the Camp David Accords. So what does this teach us? It teaches us that armed resistance is the only path to freedom for these people. It's the only language that the colonial occupiers understand. I've been to a lot of protests and Palestine events, and I think they're very good, but protests aren't going to free Palestine. Sometimes you need to meet force with more force. This is the brutal reality of the world. The Palestinians are not going to Gandhi their way to freedom. So if you condemn their resistance, you're ultimately just condemning the Palestinian people to a life of being G-sided. And that's something I will never do.
Good job. Well said. And lastly, we'll listen to this man.
Is absolutely horrific. I don't know where to begin with it. I mean, what people allow is what will continue. And that's been evidenced in this country for a long time now.
Do you think there's anything we can do as people to bring it to a stop, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing is that if you're an apologist for genocide, then you're compliant towards it. I remember when I was a little boy hearing about horrors of Nazi Germany and the things that they were doing to people. And the one thing that struck me as a child was how could people comply with that? In the past week, starving, malnourished, critically ill children are being denied visas to be taken to the United States of America for medical treatment, despite the fact that most of the munitions and weapons that have been used against Palestinians are actually American in origin. But if people can turn a blind eye to the children that are starving to death, being blown up in hospitals, to the doctors and the journalists that are being executed, to the homes in residential areas that are being targeted airstrikes, like the woman who was a nurse in one of these hospitals, and she had her 7 children and her husband in their home in a residential area bombed, because this is how much they want to stop anyone, any of you, anybody from standing up and speaking the truth, because the truth is the only thing that can set people free. And what you all need to realize, this isn't something that happens to them and doesn't affect us. This is something that happens to them because they're relying on us doing nothing about it. And then by the time that it starts affecting us, it'll be too late because they'll already know how to carry out a program successfully. And there's no lack of coincidence that a lot of the stratagems that have been used in Gaza over the last several decades are actually taken directly from the illegal occupation of Ulster and Northern Ireland. And this is why Britain used to be world leaders in military intelligence and close security. But if you actually look at the companies and who owns them, you'll find that in the last decade or so, Israel happens to have some of the most successful private security and private military companies, because they're the ones, like Britain had for many decades now, they've had for many decades, a targeted, controlled populace that they can work their tactics out on. If you allow something like that to persist and you silently turn a blind eye, don't think that you're any better than the Germans. You're worse. And if you are a child of Jah, Buddha, Allah, Krishna, whatever you want to call the Almighty, and you actually care about where your soul progresses from this incarnation, I suggest you stop turning a blind eye and realize that you are part of the problem or you're part of the solution.
Nicely said. Is this what you're talking about, Denver? The global Samud flotilla? Or are you talking about something different? This is from August 31st. Global fleet of boats is preparing to set sail for Gaza as part of an international maritime initiative aimed at delivering humanitarian aid to starving people in Gaza. Awesome. According to the global Samud flotilla, delegations from 44 countries have already committed to sail to Gaza as part of a largest maritime mission to break Israel's illegal siege. Countries from 6 continents will be taking part in the flotilla, including Australia, Brazil, South Africa, and numerous European states. According to the group, participants are unaffiliated with any government or political party. The mission is organized by 4 major coalitions, including groups that have participated in previous land and sea efforts to Gaza: the Global Movement to Gaza, Freedom Flotilla Coalition, Maghreb Samud Flotilla, Samud Nusantara. According to the Global Samud Flotilla website, the coalition comprises a range of people, including organizers, humanitarians, doctors, artists, clergy, lawyers, and seafarers who are united by a belief in human dignity, the power of nonviolent action, and a single truth: the siege and genocide must end. All right. Greta Thunberg is part of that. Whatever you think about her, she's on the right side of this one. So, give her a hand for that. Veterans for Peace. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. Let's hope that something gets through. Let's see. Reflect the Sun bought 3 coffees. Thank you, Reflect the Sun. I appreciate it. You rock. Thanks everyone who contributed to the show today, chatters and donators alike. I'm going to sign off now, and I'll see you tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. And until next time, beware the bear.
you.